The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Freedom Chat, where real Americans speak their minds. And no topic is off limits. No scripts, no judgment, just honest conversation. Raw, unfiltered, and free. If you're ready to challenge the narrative and celebrate true freedom, you're in the right place. This is Freedom Chat.
Good morning. My week was crazy, man. I was dealing with I'm thinking now it was a groin issue, not a hip issue, but it was a upper level groin issue that just was brutal. And then Friday, I was telling my co-hosts, Friday I tripped on a power cord, a basically warming block cord at work, and now I'm dealing with a rib issue, which is just kind of uncool. Gonna watch Super Bowl with my brother. I'm bringing guacamole and veggie tray. Dennis, you aren't feeling very good, so I ain't inviting you. And Mom, you don't like to watch football, so you're not going to be there.
Thank God.
Yeah, Mom says, thank God. I will not be watching the halftime show. I will, if my brother and them want to watch that thing, they can. I'll just go out to the back porch and kind of wait until it goes in the house, until the halftime is over.
Kind of what I'm doing. I might see if I can get on YouTube and see if I can track down that TPUSA.
Yeah, I plan on doing that, and I hope that that's what my brother does. But if not, whatever. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into the meat and potatoes of this. We had my wife and I had a really heated conversation about a lot of different things, and one of the things that she brought up is because of the views that I have, which I want everybody to understand this. My views are patriotic views. My views are not pro-Trump views or anti-Trump views. My views are what I see as very patriotic and very important views surrounding this country, not surrounding any one individual, but surrounding the collective as a whole. And for the record, if you had looked at my post this morning about the Fort Sumter flag that is now flying very proudly at my house, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. And I had a chance to talk to Joel about this earlier today, before we all came on. If you go down the street in my house, and I'll use me as an example. I get along with my wife. I get along with my kids. I get along with 99.9% of my coworkers. I have a car that consistently gets me from point A to point B. I do not have a bad life. I have my own house. I'm making payments on my own house. I have a pretty damn good life. And you look down the street and there is an interracial family that lives down the street. Guess what? They have a car that gets them from point A to point B. The husband and wife get along with each other. Not much different from me. In fact, pretty damn close. So are we as a people that live in this country closer together or further apart? And the reason that I say that is because I believe that at the core of every single one of us, if you take all of the political garbage and all of the media garbage and all the social media garbage and all of the educational garbage, we're really not that far apart. It's much like John F. Kennedy said in one of his speeches. We all love our children. We all concerned about our children's future. We all breathe the same air, and we're all mortal. At the end of the day, are those not the most important elements to our lives? I'll leave it to you guys, and then we'll go into a little bit more about the conversation I had with my wife, and then we'll jump into sanctuary cities and states. So, Mom, I kind of want to, because you've been around a lot longer than both me and Dennis, so I kind of want to. Do you agree with what I said, or does it go deeper?
I agree with what you said. I'm not sure that it plays out uh, in every area of life. What I find that people seem to not recognize is that, not to be racist, and I'm not, this is just the way it is, you tend to get along better with people who are like you, that you have the same values, same looks, same thought processes. Therefore, whenever you run across, or they run across, say, Japanese people run across us, they think we're as crazy as we think they are. And it's not a bad thing, and it's not a racist thing.
That is true, but we're talking about
But
American.
whenever we combine, it's a better thing.
See, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Dennis, where do you stand on this?
Well, I think that you know, in the basic fundamentals of life, we all have that survivalist instinct, and having a roof, having transportation, having food, water.
Right.
If we're all, I think, in agreement that we all need that, obviously, and we're all kind of raised slightly different, in that we have, like, my family was we're just basically an average
Right.
family. There was nothing like special about us or anything. We God-fearing taxpayers, and that's about it. There's nothing special.
Right. And that
I had a black family that lived across the street that was the same exact way.
Right.
They were, their kids were raised a little bit differently than ours because they have the black culture.
Right.
But they're great people too. I mean, I loved them to death. Still do.
And at the end of the day, I think that the elements that drive us apart, and this is really going to sound extreme, I believe that elements that drive people apart are evil. And I believe that evil has to be confronted. Are you going to destroy it? Probably not. But it does need to be confronted at every turn.
Absolutely.
You have to be, when you see something that just, you see something that is wrong. And we'll use the now infamous video that was posted on President Trump's Truth Social, that has created just a firestorm. And I'm going to tell you, this is my personal opinion. It was in such extremely poor taste, but if you watch the entire video, it was all in poor taste. And at the same time, it is a microcosm of what's wrong with our society, where it's so universally condemned. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but it showed the Obamas as primates, but it also showed Harris as a turtle. It showed Biden as an orangutan. It basically took the leadership of the Democrat Party, and it was kind of a knockoff of the Lion King. And I think it was made in jest. Well, I know it was made in jest. I don't believe that it is the type of thing that needs to be put out right now. We're dealing with enough garbage as it is. It's kind of like, we don't need help being divisive. We don't need help dividing us. We already do a pretty damn good job of that on our own.
Right.
So, that said, the pot calling the kettle black, when all we've heard about this president is he's a racist, he's a Nazi, he's the second coming of Adolf Hitler, he's a fascist, he's a dictator. Okay, why is that not being confronted at face value? The answer is because it's more popular to look at this president in a negative light than it is to not. That is a reality. Now, is he perfect? No, he is absolutely not perfect. But guess what? None of us are perfect. End of discussion. None of us are perfect. And do we say things that later we do regret? Yes, we do. Which leads me to something that I'm going to tell all of our viewers right now. I do have a nonprofit that I am very proud of. I speak my mind. I am not afraid to speak my mind. In fact, our founders insisted that it was vital to our society to speak our minds. Can we all agree on that?
Yep.
If my nonprofit goes into jeopardy because I am being told that I can't speak my mind, I'll dissolve it. Because our First Amendment rights and the men and women who died to ensure that we still have those First Amendment rights would be bent out of shape if I capitulated my voice. So, like it or not, I ain't going anywhere when it comes to speaking my mind about what I see going on with our country and about how I believe we can make it better. I'm not changing my tune in any way, shape, or form. If my nonprofit needs to be dissolved, so be it. Because our First Amendment rights and our liberties and our freedoms are much more important than me having a nonprofit that does what it does. I will continue to do what that thing is intended. I will continue to honor our fallen veterans at their headstones proper. I will not, and I mean I will not compromise my voice as a result. So
Well, I don't think you should have to compromise your nonprofit either. That's that comes, like you said, that people paid the price for you to be able to do that.
Agreed. And
I would fight like hell to keep it.
Oh no, I am. And don't get the wrong idea. This was part of the conversation I had with my wife yesterday. And she says, I'm just saying it could come back to bite us. What? Have I said anything that damn controversial? I mean, honestly, we've been doing this since October of 2024, right?
Right.
Have we said anything that is so far out of the norm of what could be considered the norm to be something that would cause us to be virtue signal banned, if you want to call it that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Mom, I don't know. Dave, maybe you have a better view on that than I do.
No, I don't. I think you're you, which means some days you're loud and some days you're not.
Well, yeah.
Mostly you're loud.
Mostly. Mom, I'd give you the finger, but we are on a public radio show, so.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, but unfortunately, having been around you from the time you were born, you never were any different but loud.
Right. I'm just much more focused with where I stand on these things than I was back then. And I didn't know what I needed to know, which before we get started into sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, here is a recommendation for everybody. Big time recommendation. Go on to Mom, what's that organization? It's a school.
Hillside.
Yeah, get on the Hillside. Get into the forces, into the courses that Hillside has concerning how our government is run. And before we deep dive into sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, I will tell you why when we come back from our break. But we are going to go on our break. Here we go.
Those are cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You see the Cobra?
And what is this one?
Oh, this? That's my credo. No regrets.
You have no regrets?
Dad?
No?
Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
Well, I love him. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think he's a real winner, Casey. If I were you, I wouldn't use protection.
Oh, for real, bro. Thanks, man.
Oh my goodness gracious! You know what? I am just really immature.
Never gets
Oh, you know what? It never gets old, does it?
no.
You know,
No, because it's partly reality, like the reality we live in right now. So it's honestly telling the truth in a lot
hey,
of ways as well.
hey man, we could do a whole show on that alone.
We could.
All right. So I'm listening to Michael Brown, and this will be another recommendation. Go on to iHeartRadio and check out Michael Brown. He was the undersecretary of FEMA during the Bush administration, and he was the man primarily responsible for trying to recover after Hurricane Katrina. The guy is as sharp as a tack, man. I'm telling you, he is smart. And one of the things that he was talking about yesterday was, we talk about the Save Act. People that know what the Save Act is know what it is. Those who don't know what it is it's the bill that is trying to get through, that the president and at least Congress, the House of Representatives, trying to get through to basically require every American citizen to have a ID proving that they are citizens so that they can vote. And it is supposed to be nationwide. And there's arguments against, and I'm sure that the damn thing probably needs to be tweaked. But the foundation of the bill is, if you have only citizens, and I'm not, France has got it, and Mexico even has a requirement of showing a citizenship ID. The bottom line is, if you're a citizen, you are allowed to vote. If you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote. It eliminates at least that element of dirty pool within the voting community. And what Michael Brown was talking about, and I learned while I was listening, is, there is on the Senate floor right now, and what they're voting on isn't even the bill. It's not even the legislature. They're voting on motions to filibuster, and then they're voting on motions for rules. So what he basically was saying at one point is, the American people are so uneducated about parliamentary rules and House floor rules and filibuster rules and every other little government rule under the sun. It coincides with something that I've said a lot of times. If you don't know how to play the game, you're going to lose, because another person can cheat at the game and you don't even know that you're being cheated. So look into Hillsdale, because Hillsdale has got free courses on how our government works. All of the dirty little secrets that they don't want you to know about, that makes being a freshman in the Senate or the House, makes their poor little heads explode, because there is a certain set of rules and decorums that they have to follow for the government to actually function. Well, the problem is, you can find yourself in an infinity loop, voting on motion after motion after motion after motion after motion. And then both parties get to stand out there and tell everybody, I was fighting for it. I was fighting for it. Look, I was serving. All the while, they're playing a game. And at the end of the day, we're not being represented. And I think that whether it is a Democrat senator or a Republican senator or a Republican House rep or a Democrat House rep, if they're not serving in good faith, then they're not serving.
Wait, Mark, I posted a little clip of that goofball Jamie Raskin saying that if the Save Act could affect the Amendment 19, which would prevent women from being able to vote. Now, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
Right, it absolutely is, because
I mean, come on.
A woman, for example, my mother, her maiden name I won't tell, but her name is Stallings. She has an ID, she has a marriage license, and she has a birth certificate. So she can go down to wherever they set up these voter registration places, and she can actually jump in there and say, here's who I was, Here's who I am now. Here's all of the proof. Well,
Right.
now you've got an ID that backs that up.
Yep.
So congratulations, Jamie. You proved that you are just as ignorant as you are everywhere else.
The crapola just runs rampant. I mean, I'm not surprised, but it still never ceases to amaze me.
Oh, it doesn't. And I'm sure my mom is sitting there going, "Yep."
All I can think of is Mad Max telling one of the people that she was talking to shut up, and then denying it whenever the reporters asked her about it later.
Hey, what was funny about that was it was right there on the House floor, and she didn't tell him to shut up. She went to the speaker of the committee and said, "Can you get him to shut
Oh,
yeah. No, it was Bessert, wasn't it? She was Bessert was handing her ass back to her.
Oh yeah, it was.
The lady didn't have enough balls to do it herself, huh?
Oh, it was a beautiful thing. I'm telling you, man, it was crazy. All right, so we have been on a couple little tangents here. I felt that what I was talking about in the first segment was important enough to talk about it, and I don't want to. Honestly, I don't want to go off on too many deep tangents, but look, we are a nation, and we are a nation of laws, and we are a nation of people, and we are a nation of settlers, not immigrants. I wish people would stop calling us a nation of immigrants. We settled this country, and whether people like it or not, that is the truth. But there are currently 17 states plus the District of Columbia that identify as sanctuary. Here is the definition of sanctuary states and cities. A sanctuary state is a state that limits cooperation with federal immigration authorities, particularly regarding civil immigration enforcement, to protect undocumented illegal immigrants from deportation. Definition and legal context. There is no uniform federal legal definition of a sanctuary state. That's because there is no such thing as a sanctuary state, my opinion. The term is generally refers to states that adopt policies, laws, or legal opinions restricting state and local law enforcement from assisting federal authorities. Obstruction of justice. Such as detaining individuals solely for immigration violations or sharing immigration status information without a warrant. These policies aim to protect undocumented illegal immigrants from deportation while still allowing enforcement of criminal laws. The sanctuary states and cities have gone beyond that now. That's why a criminal can get out, like the one that killed Lincoln Riley, the one that killed the 12-year-old in Texas, the two that killed the 12-year-old in Texas. Here is the measures: limiting information sharing with federal immigration authorities about individuals' immigration statuses, refusing to honor ICE detainer requests without a judicial warrant, restricting state or local participation in federal immigration programs such as jail to ICE transfer agreements, prohibiting state funds from being used for general immigration enforcement. Some states also bar immigration-related arrests in sensitive locations like courthouses or schools, further limiting local enforcement of federal immigration laws. So now we know what they are, and we know what they do. Are they legal? Mom?
I don't think they're legal. However, thinking back how long they've been in force, that's another story. Sanctuary, they started out sanctuary churches. Churches were allowed to give sanctuary to criminals and what have you in the old countries. The Catholic countries in Europe, and that's a holdover from that. And the first time I remember hearing about sanctuary anything here in the Denver area was whenever that lady who's been an illegal immigrant and deported several times claimed sanctuary status from a church and stayed in that church for, I don't know, long time. Dennis, you remember how long she stayed in? But that was the first time I remember hearing about it.
Oh gosh. I don't know the length of time that she was there, but it was quite a while. Yeah, the church um, granted her that, and she was there until the heat cooled off. I guess I don't really know the whole length of time.
And she's been in the country way longer than 20 years and
Right.
still pretends like she doesn't speak English. She
Yeah.
always has a translator with her. You notice that?
Well, that's how a lot of them get away with that. They try to make us feel sorry for them, I guess.
I, I, I guess if you're in a country 20 years, you really ought to know how to speak the language by then.
I'm
And
pretty sure if I was in Germany for 20 years, I'd probably be pretty fluent.
Right. And here's the other thing. And you know, I vaguely know what you guys are talking about. Also, I'll just, profess my ignorance right off the bat. However, um, feigning that you don't understand the language reminds me of a scene from the movie Sahara, where Matthew McConaughey's character said, "I don't speak English," and the guy said, "You're speaking English." He says, "Yeah, but I only know how to say I don't speak English." So it was this big, funny little diatribe on speaking English, right? Um,
Right.
the thing is that there is a way to go about sanctuary. There is a way to go about seeking asylum, which is essentially what sanctuary is. Once again, this falls under the category of the laws are not being even remotely acknowledged by these states. And this was another thing that my wife and I got into an argument about. Do I want families to be separated? No, I do not. And I actually threw this in her face. There was a president who basically came onto national television and told illegal aliens, you will be deported. And if you bring your children, don't be surprised if you're separated. And then I told her that was not President Donald John Trump. That was President Barack Hussein Obama.
Correct.
So don't give me this crap of this administration is out of control. This administration is doing the exact same thing that other than the last administration did, but the administration prior to 45, that would be Trump 45, that is what makes this completely outside of the normal realm.
Well, can I throw something in real quick, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how Trump has been called a Nazi and ICE is the Gestapo and all this other stuff. Well, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Trump is not the one pulling kids out of school to go protest for stuff that they don't even understand.
No, he's not.
So the Nazis are not in this administration.
No, in fact, none of those children received any repercussion for walking out. And I mean, Cherry Creek, the entire district middle school, they all walked out during one of their last classes of the day on Friday, and I just got really, really upset about it because of what it disrupts. It disrupts. Number one, we hear the word inclusion, we hear the word respecting people for how they see themselves, and we hear all of that crap. And I basically threw that in my wife's face at the same time, is forcing someone to agree with something that they don't agree with is also exclusionary. And it isn't about being a decent human being. If I see someone who looks like a woman and claims to be a man, I'm going to question that. And I've had to question that. I've had to question it more than once.
You know who would question it even more than you is little children,
Right.
because
So
they're not stupid.
so right. And look, this goes right into what we're talking about, the sanctuaries. When you start forcing people to simply agree with you because it makes other people feel good, you end up not feeling good because the logo of MBR is the duck. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and swims like a duck, hey, guess what? It's a freaking duck. If they came into the country illegal and they didn't follow the laws of our land, hey, newsflash, they're illegal. You don't have to like it, but you better figure out how to accept it.
But if it walks like a camel and looks like a duck, then what?
I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you tell me. Is it a duck or is it a camel?
Well, I mean, it starts to question things like that. That raises big red flags to me.
Wouldn't you know it? Leave it to Dennis to just screw this whole conversation up.
I know. Sorry, I'm sorry about the duck, man. Sorry, Joel.
But going deeper into this, all right, there are federal laws for a reason, and this also coincided with the conversation I had with my wife last night. I don't like seeing families separated, but who's responsible for that? Is it the nation that is enforcing its laws, or is it the parents that brought the kids across the border in the first place? That is not a question that people want to answer because it doesn't make them feel good, because it forces the individual to be held accountable for the individual's actions.
Well, if you ask me, they know the risk they're taking, so it's on the parents.
Right.
Sorry, not sorry.
And, she talked about that. She talked about, people have basic human rights. No, you're right. We have human rights. We all have human rights. But laws are there to be followed. And if you are depriving someone else of their rights, all while screaming about your rights, hence the argument we had last week about these ICE protests.
Mm-hmm.
You depriving someone else, Lincoln Riley, depriving someone else, I don't remember her name, his 12-year-old girl, of their rights because you're hell-bent on making sure that someone else's rights are being acknowledged, even though they were criminals, even though they'd come over more than once, even though, we could go down the list of everything that we're talking about right now. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's ugly. The newsflash is right now it's all ugly. There's nothing good about any of it. And
well, Jocelyn Nungare has no rights anymore.
No, right.
She's dead.
They're dead. Exactly. And we sit there and we have these debates about it, but the bottom line is, and we went through this, and if we need to go through this again, we talked about the nations of the world who have the harshest immigration policies in the world. Do you know where we are? And my wife didn't agree with me. My wife didn't believe me, but we are actually the most lenient when it comes to immigration policy and immigration policy enforcement. We're the least. We are the least. We're the most lenient. We're the least harsh.
Yep.
Canada has a jail sentence if they catch you and they decide they want to throw you in jail. Don't talk about how we are the evil country of the world because we're trying to enforce our laws. And hey, here's a little news flash for everybody who doesn't want to believe me. When Minnesota started following the laws, which is letting ICE into the jails and helping them out and actually communicating, when their law enforcement actually stepped up and started doing that, which I think they started doing it last week.
They did.
Do you know how many issues they had from that point forward? Zero.
Right.
Other than
why didn't they just do that from the beginning?
The reason is, and okay, I'm glad you asked that because we're going to go into our second and last break because, well, it's the second and last break. And I think we should all try to feel good.
What happened to you? Ruben, I'm in a situation here. We have to leave now. Well, no, can we stay a couple more minutes? But dude, no, this is serious. I just sharted. I don't know what that means. I tried to fart and a little shit came out. I just sharted. All right, let's go.
There's a car behind us.
Hey man, I got an emergency. We got to get out of here now.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that one.
Hey Dennis, that was specifically for you.
Kind of why I'm home right now.
That just reminds me of all those times that I had to help your dad
Yep.
pull a car or push a car or whatever, and it always ended up in a fight.
You know, you remember the times we had to dig out that damn Blazer on the way out of Parker? we had snow shovels in the back of that damn thing. Dana and I was having to get out. And
That was our first big snowstorm after we moved out there.
oh my God, that was
Couldn't
horrible.
believe it.
That was horrible. All right, so let's get back to where we're going with these conversations. Here's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that we have congressmen and senators that have sworn to uphold and preserve the Constitution of the United States standing up and denouncing the very laws that they helped bring in, whether it was them or whether it was their predecessors. I don't like that. I think that that is hypocritical, and I think that if you did not sign up to actually serve, then I don't think you should be in office. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're well liked by everybody. I don't care if you're not well liked by everybody. You're not supposed to be liked by everybody, for one. You're supposed to be serving your country, for two. That's what public service is.
Yep.
And it filters to the states and to the cities. We have a governor who is a sanctuary governor who has come out and said, no person in our communities. Well, here's the thing. They're not supposed to be in your community, Governor Polis. I will name names. Nor are they supposed to be in your communities, Mayor Johnson of Denver. Because what they do, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, is they put a drain on the economy. They put a drain on the law enforcement. They put a drain on the hospitals, the healthcare. And who foots the bill?
Don't forget the job market.
Yes, especially. And so who foots the bill? Both literally and figuratively, American people foot the bill. That is what frustrates me. And the bleeding hearts out there who go, but no person is illegal on stolen ground. You know what? Billie Eilish said that during the Grammys, and she's living in a mansion that is on stolen land. So you know what?
The Tonga tribe or something like that.
Yeah. Boy, that was one that didn't age very well. Now
that was great. I loved it.
It was awesome because it goes to show the hypocrisy of one group of people, which is one of the reasons why we are as divided as we are.
Oh, and you know what else, Mark? You know what else she's got around her house?
Oh, fences, walls,
yeah, walls and gates.
Are you sure? So
yeah.
So what you're telling me is this: I can't go and knock on her front door.
Right.
Why is that?
Because she doesn't want illegal people on her property.
Well, what represents illegal? I thought no person was illegal.
I don't know. We'd have to ask her.
Wow. Maybe we should.
I know what my definition of illegal is, but she's up there on the soapbox, so we probably have to ask her what her definition is. Because I'd like to know too.
I mean, I'm just confused. I guess maybe it's me because when you have to have a conversation with someone who you do respect, because I do respect my wife. I want to make sure people understand. I'm not being critical of my wife. This was all based around a conversation that we had last night. And, I understand the concept of human dignity, and I understand the concept of human rights. However, we are a nation of laws, and our society would be much more humane, if you wanted to call it that, if people would follow the laws and if local authorities would help the federal authorities actually do their jobs. Look, for those of you who don't know, the mastermind or one of the masterminds of the Benghazi attacks was arrested this week. Do you think that was by happenstance, or do you think it was because the FBI actually came out and they did their job? The answer is the latter, not the former.
Correct.
And he did get caught, and he does need to be there do need to be repercussions for him. He needs to pay for what he did.
What was it that Hillary said? I know.
What difference does it make at this point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I will say this about that. When I was in the military, if I didn't do my job, and I can even refer it to today, if I don't do my job and my bus breaks down the road because I didn't do a proper post pre-trip and a proper post trip, who does that fall on? That falls on me. At one point or another, a supervisor is going to come in and give me a write-up. When I was in the military, if I was derelict in the performance of my duties, I faced the risk of being punished and penalized for the dereliction of the performance of those duties. Our president at the time, Barack Hussein Obama, and our Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Rodham Clinton, were both derelict in the performance of their duties because the people in Benghazi and the people in Tripoli had been screaming about the need for an increase in security forces and protection. They were denied that. And it doesn't matter why they were denied that. Everybody knew that ever since Gaddafi had been removed, that place had become a vacuum. And everybody who was out there trying to do the right thing, that would be Ambassador Stevens, was trying to do the right thing. Well, you know what? You can't do the right thing when you're already in a power vacuum, because what happens is what happened. And you don't have to like it, but for 13 hours, men held a huge force at bay until they started dropping mortars on them. And those 4 men, the three Navy SEALs who lost their lives, and the one ambassador who lost his life, actually 2 Navy SEALs, a guard who was in charge of protecting Stevens, and Stevens, all lost their lives because the Secretary of State and the federal government refused to provide them with the adequate protection that they needed so that they could do their jobs, which was try to create a government that would work in Libya. By the way, it is still a failed state today. The point of that rant is we keep talking about human rights, and we can talk about human rights all we want, but at the end of the day, if laws aren't followed and if people aren't cooperating, bad things happen. And in this case, bad things happened. Mom?
Yeah.
Where are you at with it? What do we do about sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, since I went on a tangent about Benghazi?
Well, first of all, like I said, they should be confined if they're allowed at all, and they should not be allowed. They're not legal for states or cities. There
Agreed.
should be perhaps a provision for a length of time in a church, as there was before they decided to spread it out over the whole city.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
I would go that far,
Dennis,
but I would make it a limited time.
Well, yeah. And look, once again, this is not something that, look, we've had these laws since 1996, these federal immigration laws that were signed into law by a president known as William Clinton. I don't know if this was before or after the cigar. That said, the bottom line is he did sign those immigration policies into law. And, Dennis and I had one of our guests was a guy whose wife is an immigrant, and he talked about the frustrations that he experiences with the immigration policies. And I'll be honest, when you are married to a military service member, you should have a fast track. I am all for a fast track marrying a military service member. I am all for it. Not only am I all for it, I am enthusiastically all for it. That said, I can't get my congressman, Jason Crow, to understand that first and foremost, his duty is to the American people. He'd much rather go and talk about how the military shouldn't follow illegal orders, even though there have been no illegal orders put out. That's that right there. They don't even know what they're supposed to be doing as congressmen and as senators to begin with. And that is a problem unto its own. Like I said, if you get onto PragerU and you actually look at how our government works, it will blow your mind.
Hey, Mark, I want to ride your coattails a little bit on what you just said about the military spouses and stuff, the fast tracking.
Oh, please. I like
I'm actually,
coattails.
The short coattails. I'm actually
for me,
I'm in favor of. I don't, the illegal immigrants that are here. If they're squeaky clean, they are productive renter, I guess I'd call them.
They're not living on welfare.
Then I got absolutely zero problem with maybe fast tracking their, these are the ones that have been here 20 years.
Right.
So they should have been in the process of it already.
Right.
The ones like your friend's wife who have to wait in line and wait and wait and wait.
Right.
That's wrong.
Yes.
She should be and they should be in the front of the line.
Correct.
And it shouldn't take as long as it takes.
Correct.
So they need to fix that.
Correct.
But I'm okay with some of these people that have been here and they're still illegal technically. I'm okay with them getting fast tracked, getting, if they're a productive citizen or a productive potential citizen, they should have the first chance to become a naturalized citizen.
Well, they
the
should.
whole point was these people pouring across the border,
right.
the open border,
right, and Carrie
cutting in line.
Right, and Carrie brought that up last night. Is over the past 4 years, we wouldn't be having the immigration issues that we're having, and the deportation issues. ICE would not be as nearly a big of a deal if they hadn't have kept the borders open and if they hadn't have kept them flowing in. So I agree with everything you said, with one caveat.
Okay.
Illegals who have been here for 20 to 25 years. Trump actually mentioned this shortly after he was back in office. I say you're right. They need to be granted the opportunity for citizenship, but only after those who have already been in. For example, I've got a coworker who is working towards citizenship status. The people who have been in, I don't care how long you've been in illegally. If you skip the line, you got to go back to the back of the line. Now, that process can be accelerated, and I believe that policies need to be in place to accelerate that. Because once again, if you do that, they go into the system, they start paying taxes, they start having to pay into all of this crap that they currently don't have to pay into. And Michael Brown mentioned this about illegals. Actually, no, it wasn't Michael. It was Glenn Beck. I was listening to him today. God, I listen to the worst people, don't I? Glenn Beck came in and said, look, the reason that healthcare is so far out of control is twofold. Number one, when Obamacare was made into law, it didn't make any provisions that created an environment where the insurance companies couldn't abuse it. And he used this as an example. He went in for an MRI in the United States. An MRI costs $12,000. $12,000.
Not
Anywhere else in the world, it costs $3,000 to $4,000 for the same MRI with the same equipment and the same procedure. Right. The reason is because insurance companies have been given basically what amounts to by the Affordable Health Care Act. They've been given a blank check so that they can write whatever they want as an underwrite. Well, guess what? Right. When you do that, okay, here's the one thing that most people don't want to admit about capitalism. If you put the wrong person in the right place as a capitalist and they have the opportunity to abuse their ability to make money, guess what? 9 times out of 10, they do just that. They abuse their ability to make more money. Right. Rockefeller was probably the single worst guy about doing that. From the big three, the titans of industry, the single worst cat doing that. And I read his book. He was an ass, folks. Yeah. That dude was not a nice guy. But the newsflash is, if you are trying to make your life better and you're ruthless like they were, you're not going to be nice guys. JP Morgan was the worst because he didn't see wealth as wealth. He saw wealth as power, and he used it ruthlessly against government entities. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't a positive influence on America. They were a positive influence on America. They were the reason why we became the industrial might that we became. That said, they weren't squeaky clean, and you don't need to look at them like a hero. They weren't heroes either. And we as a society need to stop. I don't like hero worship to begin with. Jesus Christ is my hero. George Washington is my hero. Those are the ones I look up to, and I have my reasons for looking up to them. Bo Nix, I'm wearing his jersey, is not my hero. I like Bo Nix. I'll wear his jersey.
I thought that was a New England jersey for a second there.
Oh my God, that is sacrilege. I might have to kick you in your neither world, man, for that.
There's something wrong with the color on my monitor, I guess.
So here's the thing: is we as voters are to blame for 95% of what's going on with our country right now, because we, the voters, listen to the wrong messages from these people. We don't look at their voting records. I look at their voting records. That's why I don't vote for Hickenlooper, and that's why I won't vote for Jason Crow, because I've looked at their voting records, and their voting records do not coincide with my values. Sorry. End of discussion. But my wife was also right about this. When you have one coin and another coin, and one coin constantly gets most of the money, which the incumbent does, where do you think that attention is going to run to? It's going to run right to the person who can put more ads in place. And then what you have is what you have in California and what you have in Colorado, which is a super majority, which makes it really easy for them to abuse their powers at will. And then you have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to make rulings on crap that they shouldn't even have to be looking at, because God bless America, you should know better.
On that note, Victor Marks for governor.
Yes, Victor Marks for governor. I agree 100%.
Speaking of that, Victor Marks, there's evidently a petition out somewhere, several of them, I suppose, that he has to get a number of petitions signed so that he can be on the ballot.
For the primary?
Governor.
No, I'm talking about for the primary. Doesn't he have to be primaried in?
It's evidently to get on the primary. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I saw something on it yesterday.
So
this just a minute, Mark. This guy is up in Burlington today, gathering names on a petition to put Victor Marks on the ballot up in Burlington.
So for those of you who are in
Burlington, that's an area that,
for those of you who are
that had not been. What?
So for those of you in Burlington, listen to what my mom is saying and go in there and get that petition signed up so that Victor Marks can get on the primary in the Burlington area, because he's on the primary everywhere else.
He said he was going to set his table up on Main Street. Burlington's not a big town.
No, it's pretty damn small.
He's trying to get the rural people involved.
Yeah,
because they really get screwed. Did I say a bad word? They really get screwed by Polis
and the Democrat.
And the Democrats.
And the Democrat-controlled Congress and Senate, which leads me to this. We talk about inclusion. Well, we don't talk about inclusion because we don't care about that crap. But people talk about inclusion. The most marginalized people in the United States are the rural people, and it doesn't matter what race they are. They are the single most marginalized people in the United States. They get ignored. They get neglected. Sometimes they get abused by everybody because they're simply out trying to live their lives. And, that all kind of ties into what we have been talking about today, which is, the more illegals you get in this country, the harder it is to get paying citizens jobs, paying citizens will work, believe it or not, anywhere if you give them the opportunity to. Some people actually like the idea of farming. I don't know. I would, if I needed to go get a job as a farmer, I would go get a job, and I'd go do crops. If that was the difference between paying bills and not paying bills, well, guess what? Give me a shovel. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. So we, and I don't know how many people are in agreement with where I'm at with this, but sanctuary cities are illegal. I don't care what lawyer throws me anything. Sanctuary cities are illegal. They are required by federal law to coordinate and to cooperate with federal ICE enforcement. Period. They can wrangle it all they want. They can hide behind due process all they want. Fact of the matter is you forfeit due process the minute you cross over the border, whether it's the South or the North, and you do it that way. And then you get into the system, and hey, if you talk to the right politician, God, that just makes me crazy. They will help you. Like if you go into New York, Mom Donnie will give you with open arms. And the previous administration in New York was giving them credit cards up to $4,500 a day. You could go and replenish.
Do you see how Ma'am Dandy City's looking right now?
Oh my God.
He's got it looking real beautiful, doesn't he?
Between him and his governorship counterpart in California, I don't know who's worse, man.
Oh God.
Holy crap. And the new mayor of Portland, she's just a ball of bliss too, isn't she?
Oh, she's a peach.
Oh my God. At least Tim Walz got marginally smart and started to cooperate with what was going on. And, Minnesota may actually turn into a decent state again. Diana, I know you live there. I hope you're watching, and I really wish you would come on the show every once in a while. But
that would be awesome.
You're in the mountain part. You're in the farmland of Minnesota. You're not actually experiencing the psychotic world that is Minneapolis.
Just cows and chickens.
Yeah, well, look, I made it abundantly clear to anybody who listens. I don't go downtown if I can avoid it. And I try to avoid it like the plague. And the reason is because I remember when downtown was glorious. I remember when downtown Denver was just phenomenal, man.
Yeah, used to be a lot of fun.
Oh my God. And now you can't go down that place without it being a freaking cesspool either.
You can go down there, but you got to have a head on a swivel, man.
Oh, you do, because and then I don't know how many of them are illegal that are down there, other than the fact that that there's quite a bit, because Denver is a quote unquote illegal sanctuary city. Maybe they should pick out some more churches, like Mom said. Maybe they could live in a church.
Well, I just know that's where it came from.
Hey, Mom, where does she? Hey, Mom, can I ask you a question? Does she poke her head out like Punxsutawney Bill?
Actually, she did. He would do that every now and then to get back to make sure she was still relevant to the conversation, which the conversation she wanted was, I get to stay here and live on welfare the rest of my life, and you can't do anything about it. Ha, ha, ha.
Has she gotten collected yet?
She was sent back 2 or 3 times, but she always comes back.
Oh my God!
You know her, Mark. She's that lady that she manages to get on the news every time that something comes up. And
a poster child of Lost.
She's been here, like I said, over 20 years, and still waves a Mexican flag. Seems to me like you ought to go live in Mexico.
Congratulations, you've got a Mexican flag. God bless you for it, right? All right, man. We got 30 seconds left. You got 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Dennis, go on the final statements, and then Mom, go on the final statement.
Hey, I just want to say, the sanctuary cities and states need to change their tune, and they need to do it soon. And one other thing, Brad Arnold from 3 Doors Down passed away yesterday at 47 years old from renal cancer, kidney cancer, and he had a great voice. One of the best bands I think I've ever heard.
Yep.
He was God fearing,
Yep,
and I know for a fact, he went to go see the good Lord. So just want to say, man, keep track of your bodies and get those tests done and keep track of that stuff, because 47 is way too young to die from cancer. So
yeah, that's pretty bad deal, man.
I'm real sad about it.
Yeah, I think we all, when you lose people that you follow a little bit, it's kind of a bad deal. Mom, Mom, we're going a little bit over. What's your push?
My push is, if you live in Colorado and you like the Colorado sun, you better like sunscreen. Because if you don't, you'll end up like my face looks, with a place on my lip that looks like Mark hit me a time or two.
I didn't.
That's not what happened.
Just going out on the record. I did not.
It's called the cancer treatment cream.
Melatonin, is it, or melanoma?
Yeah, well, no, it's not melanoma. It's one. There are 3 different kinds of skin cancer, and I have 2 of them. Aren't I lucky?
Woohoo! Yeah.
Well, you make sure you take care of that, Phyllis.
Didn't get melanoma. I don't have that one.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yep. And Mom is
the
getting
other one I can never remember.
Well, Mom is getting it taken care of, which is good. She's going to stick around for a few more years because she's like her son. She's stubborn as a mule.
Well, that's a good thing.
My final 2 cents. I love my country. I love my God, and I love my family, and I appreciate anybody who comes onto the show. If you want to come on the show, send a message in the comments. I'll fire you a link as quickly as I can, and you can jump on. If you haven't, if you don't agree with us, post something that you don't agree with us. But please make sure that it's an argument that makes sense, and make sure that if you throw a fact in there, you've got something to back it up.
Right.
I want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank my brothers and sisters for their service. I want to, just reiterate, God bless America. God bless the United States. God bless you all. And we will see you next week.
Amen. Godspeed.
Godspeed, everybody.
Go Hawks. God, I can't believe I have to say that crap.
Yeah.
Go Hawks.
Whatever.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.